Madeline's running to get herself some water
Yep.
so she can be fully hydrated for our conversation. And she's back.
We need lots of water for a fiery
All
full
right,
moon.
fantastic. Yes. And hopefully
Fire
we're
out.
live. I'm trying to get all my tech stuff here. Yeah. Okay. It looks like good to go. Awesome. Okay. So I'm getting internet connection unstable. Hopefully that's not a problem for us today. So I am Amalia Natalia of Karmic Kindness here with Madeline Parker.
Hello, everybody.
And she's got her beautiful background, a new one today, a crown of fire and gold, and the earth and the moon and the sun.
The electrical energies that are coming from the higher realms that are descending upon us, that create the reality down here.
And that's it. There you go. This is what we're talking about today. We're talking about these energies that are descending and how we're creating our realities and how these energies are affecting us. So we have the Sagittarius full moon that we're discussing today. It's a pretty I for me personally, I find it's a pretty significant one. So, and I'm going to talk about this, the impact chart, and show folks, especially with mutable signs, who are going to be feeling this tremendously. This full moon is happening on June 11th at 3:44 a.m. Eastern, 12:44 a.m. Pacific at 20 degrees, 38 minutes. Sagittarius connects to the physical body with the liver, the thighs, the hips, the sacrum, the lumbar. I think we talked about this, Madeline, maybe in the last cosmic chat about, with Sagittarius, the thighs are a big thing. You think about like also horses, like they're running, they're trotting, they're moving, they're really, it's like this force. There's this a
Yep.
force behind it. But there's also
Thunder thighs. It's just, I felt like I said that out really. Jupiter. Jupiter is the god of thunder. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so Sagittarians are thunder thighs. Horses have the thunder thighs that can really propel you, like really strong legs that can really send you like lightning and thunder through space, but also the hips, powerful hips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think about Sagittarius as this very expansive, exploratory sign. So, if you think about, if you're riding on a horse, you're really going out there. You're able to explore, expand your experience, horizons,
Yeah.
learn something new. These are all Sagittarian qualities. So the other part of this with Sagittarius, and I think it's really interesting considering we just came off of the Gemini new moon, is the kind of the concept here with Sagittarius is I see. So something may have been brought to your attention during the Gemini moon cycle where there's a lot of thinking going on. And now maybe you see a pattern in your life, or maybe you see connections with things that you didn't notice before. And so this is a really beautiful continuation of what we experienced. Well, we're still in it now, as at the time of this recording, on the Gemini full moon. I don't remember the date in this minute, the 26th, I think.
Mhm.
So let me share the impact chart so people can get a visual of what this may look like for them if they have any points or planets between 15 and 25 degrees of the mutable signs, which are Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. So let me pull that up. Hold on one second. I didn't have the chart quite up. So, all right, here we go. So, if you're looking at your own natal chart, it may look different because, at the top of the chart is going to be your MC, and your ascendant will be over here on your left, and then obviously the IC and the descendant. So this may not look exactly the same, but you can find, just find this sign, this Sagittarian sign, and that'll really help you out. And, again, between 15 and 25 degrees of Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo, you all will be impacted by this. You'll likely notice something in your life where you go, huh, I wonder if this is I'm being affected here by this moon cycle because it will likely be something that you notice. That's not to say that other people won't, because you will. Um, I want to talk a little bit about did you want to
Uh,
say something, Madeline?
Well, I would like it if you pop that back up because I want to show you something really great that's happening for the fire
Sure.
signs.
Let me,
Ah,
I'm
it's a
happy to
good time
do
for
that.
the fire sign. If you look at all the fire, you're seeing a big fire trine with Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter, the full moon. See, so look
Well,
at
so let's
your,
see.
so
Hold on.
there's your
I'm
fire
going to
sign.
pull
Yeah,
the moon itself.
see if you can see it.
So can you see a different chart?
I see the chart.
Okay. So
So
you're talking about the fire trine here with the,
yes, even though they're
and
not at the
then,
same, but Leo, we have Mars, Leo, Jupiter,
right.
we have the new full moon in Saggy,
Hmm.
and we're got to have that Saturn, Aries. So we're having all your fire houses. These are the Tricone
Yep.
Dharma houses, right? These are Dharma houses. So for fire,
Yes, they are.
every one of your firehouse is being lit up literally on fire. Like if you were to look at astrology like just energy, water, it literally like you just made fire and water and earth and you just plopped it in parts of your chart. So in your firehouses, they would all be lit up right now.
Wow. Okay.
They're very positive. That's a Dharma Trikona trine, which means it's super auspicious and lucky and dharmic, which means you're on your path. Your path is lit up, fired up.
So, and I just want to say too, even if it doesn't feel comfortable in that lit upness, it doesn't mean that it's not a good thing. Just kind of just stick with it, like stay the course. I'm speaking to myself as well as anyone else
As an
who
example.
has the fire going on. Okay, so let me share a little bit about the aspects to the moon, and then a little bit about the gene key and the flower, and then I'm going to let Madeline go into a little more of a deep dive on what's going
Okay.
on. So, okay, obviously, with every full moon, we have the moon and the sun opposing each other in the sky. The moon is in Sagittarius, the sun is in Gemini. And just a couple keywords to keep in mind when you're thinking about Sagittarius. Sagittarius is very exploratory, adventurous, like really wanting to expand your horizons when it comes to what you learn, your knowledge, your wisdom. And then you have Gemini, which can be a little, also, again, very mental, but there might be more like mental chatter, kind of going back and forth in your mind. There are lots of thoughts happening, very social. So there might be interactions that you're learning and you're expanding through social activities. Now, the moon is trine Mars, which is really positive. I think Madeline was talking about that just a second ago. You know, that aspect is really great. You may feel a surge of energy or motivation, you know, like she said, you're lit up right now. This is a time where you could take risks and pursue your passions with enthusiasm and confidence. That Mars and Leo is what's giving you that confidence. And also, Mars can help you if you've got this boundary or some sort of something that you've been pushing up against. Mars is really going to allow you that oomph to possibly tackle any challenges, push past any boundaries, especially when it comes to your emotional inner world, because we've got the moon involved here. And then we have an opposition, the moon opposing Jupiter in Cancer, and Jupiter at that time will be at 0 degrees as well. This is an interplay between your emotional security, the moon, and your expansive growth, Jupiter. So there may be some discomfort in the playing between these two and the integration of those. It may feel a bit of like urgency or intensity around it. And this really the moon in Sag really gives you an opportunity to access an emotional truth that maybe it's like maybe you knew, but you just didn't quite believe it or you didn't quite get it. And now it's going to be able to, to really integrate into your heart, not just your head. Um, and I like I have so many notes about the full moon trine the Mars and Leo, because I find it's a really fascinating place for that energy to be right now for all of us, especially with all of the questions in the world and all of the people in all these different transitions and making decisions and taking leaps of faith. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to recently who are on the precipice of something big that's
Yep.
terrifying and aren't sure what to do, or like know what they need to do but are terrified to do it. And it's that Mars is really kind of like, if it's aligned, if it's something that's really soul driven, things are going to work out, and just trusting that. So, okay. This I found really interesting too. I'm kind of excited to share the gene key with everyone, because what I noticed when I was kind of preparing was the gene key coming up for all of us on this full moon. Look at those keywords: the shadow of dominance, the gift of synergy, and the Siddhi, Siddhi, which is like the highest octave of this type of energy and experience of communion. So this is kind of like the key questions, or the kind of the key theme that you can think about with this is: are there areas of your life that dominate your thoughts or attention? And can you come into a place of synergy between your head and your heart? So bringing that into a place of like where they're working together, synergistic energy that will bring you into the communion, the coming together of the flow and unfolding of life. And that's getting your thoughts and getting your ego somewhat out of the way. And what I found really cool about this is this connects so beautifully with Gene Key 16 that we talked about during the new moon in Gemini. So that was that has to do with being the shadow of indifference, the gift of versatility, and the Siddhi, Siddhi, of mastery. So we were being invited during the new moon in Gemini to really look at ourselves through a different lens. Like, right now we're in a time of mastery. So we're no longer going to be indifferent to the circumstances of our life, the circumstances that led us to where we are, the circumstances that are happening around us. And we're using versatility to integrate the insights that we got during that new moon in Gemini period that we're likely still getting now. And then taking that and allowing those thoughts and those insights not to dominate us, but to be able to bring them into a place where we can bring them into our heart, have the ideas also in our heads. It's kind of like a combination of the two, and then be able to take that into our life and be able to flow with it instead of resisting it or pushing against it, and allowing that really beautiful energy of Mars to come in and support us on the way. And even Jupiter, even the opposition to Jupiter. I mean, Jupiter is maybe expanding that, but maybe it's expanding our capacity to hold both the thoughts and the fear at the same time. So anyway, I was just thought that was super cool. And the other thing too I want to mention here is, if you see here, the ring of prosperity, gene key 16 and gene key 45. So when we're able to do this, when we're able to really bring these places into form, into balance, into synergy, into mastery, into communion, using the versatility, we open up prosperity in our lives. And that doesn't mean just money, but that certainly is part of it. It's, what do you desire in your life? What do you consider prosperous? Is it fulfilling relationships? Is it a fulfilling job? Is it, enough money that you can do things that you enjoy, or to be able to treat your family to a vacation, or whatever it is? It's like, um, it's this possibility that exists all around us. I just love this continuation of the energy through the lens of the gene keys as well, because I feel like it's such a beautiful story that's unfolding. And here too, the hexagram 45 of the I Ching gathering together. It's like how we're coming together, all of us as a collective, as well. Any thoughts on that, Madeline?
I guess the interesting thing, I guess I'm seeing it more as a Gemini card rather than the Sagittarius moon. So I guess you're looking at where the sun is in Gemini, right?
Mm-hmm.
You went for the sun on that, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, you do.
interesting because I'm just curious. I'm just finding it interesting that communion and thyroid. So I'm just kind of focused on the thyroid being a part of communication. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, I mean, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's
that
also
that's
yeah, it's just I could go. I'll kind of leave it there, but that's
yes.
enough for people to chew on for the moment. But just fascinating. So just really fascinating to me. Okay. Um, and then the final thing, I have my cards this time, so I'll be able to share. So the flower for the Sagittarius full moon is the bird's foot lotus.
Wow.
And
I
I was like, I wonder if this card is meant for me specifically with some things going on in my life. And I was like, no, I was checking in and it wasn't. It's really for all of us. This is a time of contentment. So being content doesn't mean everything is working out in your life. It means you're content with however things are. It's almost a form of accepting. And it's a time of taking charge, which I really love with that Mars energy. It dissolves worry, it dissolves fearing the worst, it dissolves seriousness, it brings this sense of lightness to your life and brightness. And this feeling of expecting the best, the best possible outcome is available to you. And what I also find interesting is I'm part of this flower evolution program with Lotus Way, which is the cards that I use. And the the mist for this particular month is called Joy Juice. And Joy Juice has this flower in it. So Joy Juice is what I would, if anyone is looking for some sort of flower power to help them through, I would highly recommend Joy Juice. I'm gonna give myself a little spritz now. Um,
get
as
my joy juice.
as part of your support during this moon cycle. It's, really, oh yay.
Mine's rose water though, but
Rose is great. I
hey,
mean, rose, you can't go wrong with rose.
yeah.
You can't go wrong with rose. But so if you look in the
Thank you, Claire, if you're watching. She gave this to me.
if anyone's interested in any of the Lotus Way products, I have a link below where you get 10% off. And and if you're looking to understand a little bit more about the flowers, I have some videos on my channel. And if you would like to have a little bit more of an understanding for you personally, send me a message and we can have a conversation. So that is all that I have, Madeline. What would you like to share about what's going on in the cosmos?
Yeah. Well, interesting that you pulled that yellow card because the Sagittarius is the centaur, right? That's the if you I should show a picture of a centaur because if you go online and you look at a centaur and you see how a centaur stands, Jim Morrison was a centaur. A lot of famous musicians are centaurs, and what I mean by a centaur is that they stand like this. They put their
Ah,
they stand the horse. So the horse is behind them and they're like this. So they're standing up like that. So what that means is they've got the solar power coming through that center
mm.
chakra. So that means you're fully in centaur mode. Sagittarians are here to discover, to become transformed into a centaur where they believe in the full fire of their center self, allowing
Oh, nice.
that's why that yellow card was so interesting because it really had me focus on the centaur concept, of Sagittarius.
Yeah.
And when you look at famous Sagittarians, you'll see when a Sagittarian is successful, they've got their center chakra bulging out like a horse,
Hmm.
like that. So I just wanted to say that
That's interesting. Yeah. Thank you for
introduction
sharing.
to this
Yeah.
beautiful full moon, which I'm really excited about. Um, So most people know Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is just moved into exaltation on this full moon. I mean, how great is that? So basically, this full moon is the culmination and the arrival of some sort of new beginning that would have started just December 1st or in a previous Sagittarius new moon. And Sagittarius energy is usually inspired hope. Let me get my little Saggy notes out. Sagittarius is hope, inspiration, purpose, truth, love, and wisdom. So this is a full moon that reveals a truth that brings us wisdom, which then brings us luck, which then, brings us on our path, as it were, that we love, fulfilling our true dharma. It's a dharma new moon, a dharma full moon, which means we become clear of our dharma. Jupiter in its exaltation is going to be clear, because I'll tell you why our dharmas are going to be clearer, because Jupiter in Cancer can't help but ooze out your dharma. I mean, it just is going to create opportunities in your Cancer house. It's going to create abundance. It's going to create fulfillment of purpose and of path and knowledge of such. So that's what Jupiter wants to align us with. It's the guru, it's the light bringer. It brings us hope and inspiration, inspired action. So this full moon brings us clarity of what that is, of our dharma. It brings us the truth. Sagittarius is about the truth. Sagittarians are truth seekers, wanderers. That's why we wander. That's why we love astrology, because it tells us the truth. I'm Sagittarius, proud Sagittarian. And Sagittarians like to be outdoors and adventure. They're not sedentary. I just did 2 readings this week on people that had Sagittarius stelliums in their chart. Like, they have so much Sagittarius. They're the least sedentary people. They don't like to sit around. I don't like to sit around either. Especially, by the way, we should go. I'm going to share the chart. Is that good?
Yeah, definitely.
So especially with Mars Leo trining this, it's just, that's pretty nutty, because that joy, you pulled up the joy thing,
Joy
that's
juice.
Mars.
Yeah.
Yep, that was a sign.
Yeah.
That Mars right there. Mars is speaking through that joy juice that you brought up, which is passion, excitement, inspiration, motivation. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's not be afraid. Courage. So we're meeting courage with hope and wisdom and joy. And we're meeting hope, wisdom. What did I say? What did I say Sagittarians are? Hope,
Inspiration, truth,
purpose,
purpose.
love, wisdom, right? With Leo, courage and inspiration and play and fun and let's do it. It's sort of like, wow, what an exciting time, honestly, for the fire signs. But other people too. I mean, most people have fire in their chart, but also the cardinals are trining and sextiling this. So we're getting what you call a Kendra Trikone. I'm just learning about this in Vedic, which means it's a Kendra Dharma Trikone, which means it is the blessings of the dharmic path opening up, like the way shown. And then you get, and it's about our higher purpose and what, what we're really here for, as it were, what we were made for. It's the truth of who we are. It's our true path, our true destiny, all of that. So, so there's a really beautiful thing going on there with that trine, with that sorry, where are we? Where is it? Am I still on this? No. Yes. Where are we? June. Okay, there we go. So we've got Mars trining. Sorry, Mars is trining Chiron, but it's making a sextile, and it is making a wide trine to this. But it doesn't matter, because Mars in Leo is firing up that Leo house with joy and fun around this full moon, which is hope and inspiration and travel and, igniting of excitement in your life, basically, in general, because we've all been through a really kind of funky time in the last couple months, with all this downtime and all these planets in retrograde and Saturn and Venus conjunct. And it's like, and then now Venus is in its very happy energy sign in Taurus, which is, again, very pleasing. That's making a sextile to Jupiter, which again is all about calm, stable, making new stable beginnings, financial improvements and gains, and romantic weekend, because it's happening this weekend, and like strawberries and bonbons and spas and candlelight dinners, or just a good time at home, feeling very happy and doing all the things you love to do at home and pleasing doing things that please you. And it's beauty and it's the arts. I mean, it's just a really nice month, June, to have Venus. Venus is going to be in Taurus all month. So, and then Jupiter is going to be in its exaltation, but squaring Saturn, which means there is a delay. Again, this full moon happening on the Saturn you know, travel opportunities can open up, but then there'll be a delay. Let's say there would have, you'd have to go deal with a passport or something you hadn't dealt with, or let's say it is a relationship. Let's say you've got Jupiter in your seventh and a relationship's coming in. There's a block because they can't, you know, there's some block, they have to go somewhere for a long time, and then like they have to have a job abroad or something. But there's some sort of realignment that has to occur with that Saturn square before these things, this new beginning really sort of takes off, because this new moon in Sagittarius is happening. I'm sorry, full moon Sagittarius is happening while Jupiter is squaring Saturn, and Jupiter rules this full moon. So Jupiter and Saturn are saying, you know, we're going forward, we're getting clarity of our path, but this clarity brings us awareness of other things that we have to do to adapt and shift, because it squares the nodes, which means it's totally shifting our destiny. So this full moon is completely tilting our direction in life. And we're seeing something really clear that is true, that makes us have more hope and faith in a path that we didn't have faith in before. So then we pivot and we get back on a path that we're not having faith about before. And now we have faith with that Mars in Leo giving us courage, and Jupiter in its exaltation giving us faith in abundance. The energies are very abundant. But again, we're going to be, Saturn is in the story, making sure that we aren't overly, how do we call it, spontaneously, irrationally making choices that aren't going to sustain this new beginning. So in other words, are we just jumping out and just coming up with random ideas and jumping out and doing them, going on some, what do you call it, impulsive, spare of the moment trip, and then you get there and nothing is planned and it all just doesn't work out, you know, that kind of a thing. Or so Saturn is in the picture. This is mostly about our dharma. So if travel is in the story, then in this travel trip you meet somebody that's part of your journey, or something happens on that travel that takes you on dharma. But the square to Saturn is making sure you're not just flying out with all this energy and making unconnected decisions. If that makes sense. When I say connected, I mean connect with your intuitive and your chart.
And the other thing too, if anyone's like, I don't even know what dharma is, think of the way I think of dharma is your soul's purpose. That's, I don't know how you would describe it, Madeleine, but that's like to me like the most distilled down version of what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah, it's really the truth. That dharma, the other word for dharma, I think, is truth.
Well, that's, I think it's, well, at least in Sanskrit, it's satya is truth.
Yeah. So it's basically walking your truth.
Yeah.
And Sagittarius is all about the truth. They're the worst liars. Sagittarians don't lie. They tend to not lie. I'm not a liar. We're pretty terribly, bluntly, painfully honest, actually. My ex-husband said she's painfully honest.
I feel that about, not you're painfully honest, but that you are one of those people that's a straight shooter. You know, you don't, you really don't want to lead people astray in your work or in conversation or just in general. Like just, I feel like lots of integrity
Oh,
there.
thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, we say things we wish we didn't.
Well, it happens.
There's a shadow side to that, but yeah,
And you know what? But
put
there's
our foot in
truth.
it.
You
Yeah.
know, you're saying things that are true in the moment. It's how you feel in the moment. I mean, maybe they were better left unsaid, and maybe it was better to say it a different way, but you're still speaking your truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Sagittarians just have to learn to think a little bit first.
oh gosh.
So yes, but thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
All
yeah,
right.
so I love this full moon, you
All
know.
right. So shall we, speaking
Go to
of
total signs.
people who need, you know, to think before they speak, what about these Aries folks? What do they have on
Okay,
deck?
Aries. Yeah, they've got a lot going on because they've got Saturn in their first house during this full moon. I gotta
You
pop
want
the chart.
you want to hold up the
Oh
cards?
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Aries, fire, Aries. So they have a lot happening in their first house, right? They've got Neptune there conjoining Saturn with Chiron. that's like, I mean, Aries, basically, this is a great, first of all, Aries are going through a lot because they've got Saturn on their ascendant. So they're really having to mature, grow up, and take on big responsibilities for the next 2.5 years. And they have to get very serious about something and take it on and do what needs to be done and go against their urge to just sort of rush things through. They have to slow down and do it the right way and build the foundation to something here. But they're inspired too because their ruling planet is in Leo, which is courageous, inspiring. And then this full moon is a fire energy, so it's making a nice, beautiful trine for Aries. So this is very exciting, new, inspired, new beginnings because of some sort of truth that's revealed to them about spirituality and about, Aries has this happening in your ninth and your third, right? Aries. Let me get the chart on for Aries here. Let's get it on Aries. One sec. Ooh. So yeah, Aries, you guys have this happening in your ninth house. So there is definitely a big truth, a higher truth, discovering some sort of philosophical, wow, the power of the unseen forces are real. It's really true that this reality field is made by spirituality. The world is spiritual, like a big awakening. The mind is really powerful. What we believe, having hope, believing in something is good. It brings us somewhere. Like Aries it's a big wake up for Aries, like revelation, realization, and or it could also be travel, like taking on a big dream to come true with a full moon in the ninth house. It's like a big dream coming true to travel. I also clarity, you could say, of your dharma, a clarity of what it is you really want to do, how you want to expand your life and how you want to grow and take. And then if we look at your Jupiter, whereas Cancer is in your 10th house, usually, oh, sorry, fourth house, of course. Cancer, I always do Libra flip. Cancer is in your fourth house. So you're going to have Jupiter there. So for the year, so things are expanding in family. If you're male, you have a wife, she could get pregnant. You could have more family members, creating family members. Home, building home, adding home, getting new property. You get in a relationship and that comes with a property, or you sell a property, you buy property, lots going on with that. Expansion of land, you buy more land. But basically, Aries are initiating a new 29-year chapter. Now, Saturn's going to go in retrograde and go into your 12th house. So there's still a little karma to clear. But other than that, there's really clean slate energy for Aries, where they're really making a big break from the past, huge break from the past, because this full moon squares the nodes. Because the nodes, this full moon is at 20 degrees and the nodes are at 22 degrees. So we're definitely getting an exact square, which literally means this is a full moon, which brings you a realization about spirituality or higher philosophy or how to liberate yourself onto your dharmic path. And because of that, you change your life. You switch directions. You course correct, you change course. Also, the Jupiter in your fourth house can make you move too. You move to a much better place. What else can I say for Aries? So Jupiter rules your ninth and your 12th, right? So again, very much travel. You have the nose in your 12th house for the year. So there's a lot of travel for Aries this year. Cultural expansion, cultural consciousness, expansion through cultural exposure. It widens the Aries mind. It takes, look, I love Aries. They're amazing. I have a lot of amazing Aries friends, and I have a wonderful Aries friend. She's Sagittarius rising, so it doesn't count for her. But if you've got if you're master, you've got a lot of strong Aries in your chart. It could take what do you call it? A wrench bar to open that brain up.
Crowbar. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is for the Aries, like, crunk. Wow. So yeah, for Aries, it's going to be honestly, June is a great month for pretty much everybody. So I think this is a really nice full moon for Aries. I think Aries are liberated, feel free, happy, in their best energy, in their best life vibe, like flying towards an excited new path for
Well, I
Aries.
think the flower for them also
Yeah.
illustrates that. We've got a lot of this red and a lot of yellow. So we've got that Aries fire and we've got the Jupiter Sag kind of like yellow. um, propulsion, if you will, to get them focused, get things done, like anything that they've been kind of like sitting on the fence about. Now is the time, like you were saying, like that crowbar kind of thing. The crowbar is now going to finally open that door. This also has an energy of motivation and drive and passion, which to me very much makes sense with what we've been talking about as well. And it is also, if any Aries have been on the fence about something, now's the time to do it. Do the thing you've been avoiding, is also the message of this red bird of paradise, which is the name of the flower, if I forgot to say. So the red bird of paradise for Aries is really, to me, very much in tune and supportive of where they're going.
Yes, this is a Yang full moon, action-oriented full moon. This full moon reveals a truth that inspires action of change. I got to write that down. Full moon, inspire action of change. I'm always looking for titles. I can never remember
Yeah.
things.
That was a
Okay.
good one. That was a
All
good
right.
one. Okay.
Time for Taurus.
Taurus.
Taurus. So this full moon is hitting in your eighth house. So this could be so the other thing about Jupiter and Sagittarius is it can really expand things, sometimes not good. So in other words, a full moon in the eighth house can really expand. Sagittarius full moons can be tricky too, can be tough. I've had a few tough Sagittarius full moons, but it could reveal a debt, a problem, a financial upset. But it's so that you take action, that squaring the nose, that you then decide to do something about it, to change something about it so that you eliminate it, pay it down. Could be a tax thing. It could be. Now, the only reason it would be, let me just take a look at it and see for a minute. It squares your fifth house and your second, and it's opposing your second. And so it's kind of squaring all your fixed houses. So it could be unsettling. It could be upsetting or disruptive full moon that does force you to change, because this is hitting in your eighth house. So it forces you to let go of an attachment to something. You see a truth and you let go of an attachment. It could be a relationship, could be a way of spending money that you're doing. It could be that you take action to undo a debt, or you could get a financial windfall depending on your chart. If it's trining a bunch of your planets, this could be a nice tax return, an inheritance, financial support in some unexpected way. By the way, I do forget to say that Uranus is in on this. Uranus is making a square to Mars. So there could be an up,
Mm.
on the financial front here. But again, it liberates you. You're like, whatever, you got to make a shift and you got to change your destiny, which means it resolves it. So these full moons, an eighth house full moon does kind of shake people up, but it bests you through that layer of, I want to call it debris.
Hmm.
So you're kind of busting through some sort of layers of financial debris and clearing that up so that you can be more abundant. With Jupiter ruling your eighth house and expanding in that Saturn square, you do have to deal with something financial before you can travel perhaps, or build a new home. Or let me go back to where it's going on for Taurus. You've got Jupiter in your eighth. Yeah. So maybe you do want to get a loan out, or buy a new property, or fix up your property, because you've got Mars in your fourth house. So you're inspired and being very creative about your fourth house real estate, and it's trining the moon in the eighth. So maybe that's really actually very, very beneficial. That's really nice. That's like a big solution, or money coming in over a property, or some sort of, I just want to see where Mercury is on this. Mercury is right on Jupiter, pretty close to Jupiter. So I would say that there is some sort of nice financial windfall potential, relief. If, for instance, you see a debt or some sort of financial crisis occurs, then the trine there is a solution and a breakthrough and a way through. And there's a sextile to Saturn with Pluto, with Uranus there. So I wouldn't worry about it. This is a nice full moon. So if anything does come up and shakes you up, uh, there's a way through. Jupiter's got
Well,
your back.
and we know that bamboo, even though this looks
Yeah.
like it's upside down, this is a bamboo flower,
Yeah.
is what, is typically known as kind of the plant of prosperity.
Oh,
And here we have bamboo
wow.
for the bamboo flower for Taurus. So, what is the bamboo flower here to tell them? It teaches you how to release control, deepen the trust that you have with yourself, have a
Mm,
soft, steady presence in whatever you're doing, and work with natural energies like the wind and the water. The wind can blow things out of the way, like you were talking about, Madeline, clearing the debris, and then
right.
the water allows things to flow. So, and just it's very much about the nourishment in the present moment, being very, very present. Taurus, steady, steady, grounded.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love that. The bamboo flower for Taurus and in conjunction with what you said. And funny enough, Misha and I both have a Taurus moon, and I got a check today from
Ah,
we overpaid on our tax return. So we
oh,
got a small, not much, but a small little something. I was like, that was a surprise. So yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
yeah,
This full moon
very
is only
interesting.
a few days away. Well,
5, 6 days.
yeah,
Yeah. It's in the
yeah, it's in the
cycle,
week. It's within the week.
Yeah.
Perhaps
Yeah.
more is coming your way, more financial treats.
Yes. There was one other small one. I'm not going to share that this on here this moment, but another one that was kind of cool today too, like a
Uh,
positive thing from a
okay, Tori.
financial perspective.
Yeah. You're gonna have nice stuff happening because I forget this part that you've got your ruling planet in your sign. Taurus is in Venus is in Taurus. And
Yeah, so that's helpful.
yeah. So I'm leaning more on a nice windfall for Taurans rather than a financial loss or upset.
Hmm.
But you do shift your direction. Something around your finances shifts your destiny because it squares the nodes there.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. And Taurus Venus makes it a really, really great month for Taurans. The best month of the year, seriously. Better than when Venus is in Libra
Good
or even
stuff.
when it's exalted. All right. All
All
right. So
right,
now we're going
Gemini.
to do Gemini. I hope that has cheered you up. Gemini. Okay, Gemini. Mercury ruled you, hermetic people, you. I was doing a reading for someone the other day that had so much wisdom in their chart. I was like, oh my God, I think you're Hermes reincarnated. I'm like to this guy, you've got to go learn about hermetic principles. Got to.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
hilarious. How
I
did he
know.
respond to that? Was he open to
Right.
it or was he?
Yeah, he was like, really? I said, yes, your chart. You are literally Hermes, like literally in reincarnation. Like he's like,
Wow,
what? So it's kind of funny. He's gonna go
that
learn
is
about it.
funny.
He's inspired. Yeah. All right, so we are now on Gemini. Gemini has this happening in your seventh house of relationships. Beautiful full moon, traveling with your spouse. A beautiful, if you're in a relationship, it's a wonderful time because you're going to have all these fire trining your 11th house, which is really, really fabulous, like dream come true, new sort of inspired. You've got third house, Leo, Mars, so short distance travel with your spouse, a lot of busy energy around relationships 7, 11, and 3. There's kind of a relationship triangle there. And travel, good luck, collaborative, connecting your dharma with your local community or your soul contracted mate, stepping into that together. Then with that 11th house, some sort of that trine there with Saturn in your 11th house, there's a very serious new beginnings around new tribes or around humanitarian projects, your dharma, getting out there, getting more into the public. But for sure, that full moon in your seventh house is going to be a relationship inspired, passionate with that trine to Mars, passionate, inspiring, travels. I mean, not to be so simple and obvious and boring with this, but that's, what else can I say? But well, we can go deeply into Gemini are probably the one sign in this full moon that really steps into their soul contracted relationship onto their dharmic path. Now, if you're already in your relationship, perhaps you're not on your dharmic path. Some people have been married for 20 years and then they just realize they have a co-collaborative gift and shared talent that they can really expand and take into a really abundant place, because most divine partnerships have the eight. They match energetically, and when you're in the right relationship, your energies can create really rapid abundance. It's the figure eight, like two energies fixed, like two puzzle pieces. The energies, a certain amount of masculine, a certain amount of feminine makes it perfect. If you're 20 degrees feminine, 80 masculine, and this one's going to be 80 masculine, 20 feminine, right? So then you make that perfect fit, and then that makes a perfect resonance of your harmonic, the Taurus field and the infinity, right? Effortless abundance. So fired, inspiring, travel. You could meet, if you're single, you could meet someone through internet. I don't often like guide people to do it that way because I personally never like doing online dating, but I have done some readings for people where I've seen a Uranian trying to their Venus or something, and I say, you're going to meet someone online, and they literally meet their person online. So I say, go online. So for some Gemini, if you're looking for a partner, this is the time, go online. Or somebody you met online now reconnects and you turn it into a relationship. And it is a humanitarian house too with that Leo there, right? We're talking about Leo there. No, Aries. So you are shifting into a very serious, taking on a big responsibility around servicing humanity. So, or just doing some sort of major either social networking or networking project or public relations things and work, and really taking something very serious in that arena. But this full moon in your seventh house brings you beautiful, inspiring travel and adventure with your mate.
What I love about this is, with Gemini, because we just had that new moon in their sign, and there was a lot of activity in well, I'll say last moon cycle, but the
Yeah.
current moon cycle we're in. I really love this flower for Gemini, which is the Arctic lupine, which activates deep peace and the message you are supported. So if they are in the midst of, maybe some sort of a relationship challenge, whether they're looking for a partner or they're having issues within their relationship, know that you're supported, know that you have safety and protection all around you. And I also love this too for not only relationships, like contract relationships, but for potential business opportunities where you're collaborating, where you're signing contracts with someone, where you're working on a project, knowing that you have the support, like you can do this together. And it looks to me like, especially if it's soul driven, the way this flower is got that purple, very divine energy reaching. Whoops, it's like kind of backwards on the thing, like reaching up, and gathering that. And there's this green on top too, kind of that heart centered energy, and then bringing it back down and sharing it with another person or within a collaboration or whatever that might be for them. But the Arctic lupine for Gemini.
This full moon is about seeing the bigger picture too. Sagittarius is about seeing the big picture. It's about seeing the forest through the trees. So that really is interesting. That looks like a very sterile sort of intellectual, sterile sort of energy. And then Sagittarius maybe shows them a bigger picture, a bigger truth, that something
Vision.
is love, or that a relationship is actually really love,
Right.
yeah.
And that's the thing too with astrology, with any of the systems, is like it gives you it gives you a lot of information, but yet the experience that you have, like Madeline, you and I can give 20 different examples, but it might be very different for somebody, but the energy, that undercurrent is there. It exists. So it may show up in all sorts of different ways.
Yep, depends on your chart. Well, I just want to remind everybody that really we're giving a general reading here, but it really depends on your own personal chart and how
Yeah.
Neptune and Saturn are hitting all of that,
Mm-hmm.
especially how Saturn's hitting your chart right now. I have Saturn squaring my ascendant, squaring my sun and my descendant.
Oh gosh.
Neptune there, I know, and it's going to be there all year. And I'm like, what the heck? Trying to figure it out. And then Jupiter is, I have 0 degrees Cancer ascendant, right? So Jupiter is going to be on my ascendant squaring Saturn.
Oh,
I'm like, what on earth is going to happen?
yeah. Yeah. Well,
So that brings us to Cancer.
we shall see. Yes, Cancer.
All right. So Cancer. So you're going to have Saturn in your 8th house. I'm sorry, your 10th house. Why did I say that? 10th house. And Jupiter in your first, making a big square. And Jupiter is ruling this full moon in your 6th house, which is usually not the easiest full moon with the sun in your 12th. So you really are at the end of a big cycle here, of some sort of, I'm going to say, because don't forget it is squaring the south node and we're seeing a bigger picture and we're seeing the forest through the trees. So we're really letting go of something with that south node in the 3rd house. I would say most Cancers are letting go of disputes. South node 3rd house, Virgo, you're letting go of stressful conversations, challenging the thyroid, that thing. You're letting go of stressing out the communication box. So less conflict. And so then what's happening for Cancers with this full moon in the 6th house is they're clearing a karmic patterning in time for this Jupiter in your first to take on some brand new fabulous beginning, that some sort of bad habit because of that south node has been in the way of. And so now I'm going to say there is quite a bit of self-mastery and a revelation and a seeing clarity of what has to go away, what has to be quit, what does have to change in your day-to-day routine. But it can also literally represent a big opportunity coming in with work that shifts and changes your daily routine. I've had that happen to me on a full moon in my 6th life. Something came in, and I mean, it literally changed my life. Like, well, that was a full moon that happened in my 6th house, was when I became an at-home reader. Like, I stopped doing other things, going to work to other places. And then suddenly I'm like always at home working, and people are coming to my house for readings and all. It just literally happened on a full moon in my 6th house. So it's like your day-to-day routine completely changes, because don't forget, this is a Dharma full moon. And Saturn is going to square it if you're not on
Mm-hmm.
your Dharma. Saturn's going to say,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, that way. You're going to get blocked if you're going the wrong way. So for Sagittarius, now, wow, I'm sorry. So the 3 people that are going to have a really great year here are Sagittarius, Pisces, and Cancer, because Cancer is going to have Jupiter in exaltation in your 1st house. And the ruling planet of Pisces and Sagittarius is in exaltation. So those 3 people are going to do great. Those 3 signs, they're going to have a very, very strong year. So in that process for Cancer rising, this is a year where you're really cleared of codependency. You've done a lot of work on that relationship stuff. You're cleared of some sort of karmic patterning of trying to control things through communication with the South Node in your 3rd house. And breaking through, because that 12th house is a moksha liberation house. So some sort of truth, some sort of forest through the trees, you see some sort of big clarity about spirituality. And again, this could also be a big travel transit, but some sort of clarity comes to mind that sets you, liberates you, because the 12th house is of spiritual liberation. You have a breakthrough. You change your life and you quit a habit because it squares the nodes, and you stop doing something and you see the benefits of that. You suddenly see, wow, that's really going to help my life, and expand it. I
Mm-hmm.
can really start this new cycle with better habits, with a better way of communicating with people, and avoiding certain circumstances that get me into challenging conversations or exhausting conversations or something like that. So it's basically Sagittarians aligning more with their Dharma and less with trying to control their reality field, detaching more, and and some sort of big new destiny comes in, some sort of big new job, work offer comes in that tilts your destiny, that's very much in your dharma. And it's of high service. The sixth house is of high service. It's almost like a revelation of how you can really be of higher service. Like Cancers really step into sort of clarity about how they can perfect their dharma and take it to the next level and be more of service, how they can be of higher service with this journey that Cancer are on to spread spirituality, because Cancers have a trine to Pisces in their ninth. Most Cancers are here as spiritual healers, psychics, and all that.
Well, what you were talking about with a fresh start and
Yeah.
things shifting, well, here the red hibiscus is coming in to say, yes,
Wow.
that's exactly the case. It brings in hope and relief, the sense of there's a light at the end of the tunnel, fresh perspectives. If you've been exhausted by emotional stress in your life that may be wearing you down physically as well as emotionally, now is a time that that's going to shift. And then really knowing that and recognizing that whatever situation you might have been in that has been stressful or challenging in whatever way was there to expand you and
Yep.
there so that you could grow. So it was there for your benefit, for your personal growth. So the red hibiscus is, to me, it's kind of like this flower that is shining this, you did a good job. Now you're going to reap the benefit. You can rest, you can take a moment, and it's time to start over. And not necessarily in like burn everything to the ground, start over, more like you've done the work and now you can start with a clean slate.
That is cool, because you're reminding me that we have that fire trine. And for Cancer, check out the fire trine here. I'll just show all Cancers.
Okay.
You can be excited to see this fire trine for Cancer. So there it is, the 10th house, the 6th house, and the 2nd house. So those are all your income earning, how you feed yourself. These are called Ash Ashwanga. I forgot it. Anyway, so basically, Upachaya house.
Ooh,
This is
upachaya.
the
Uh-huh.
house of
Uh-huh.
Upachaya house. Okay, where hard work brings great stuff, like really good stuff. So you've got this fire trine happening in two Upachaya houses. The 2nd house is not Upachaya, I don't think. But anyway, I think it might be actually. It's 11, 10, 6. It might be 2. But anyway, so basically this is a really good work, trying money, income, a big boost in your career, especially with Jupiter in your 1st house. You're getting a financial upgrade. I do get really good cards on that, actually. For me, I've been pulling cards, like I have my own little deck. It says your life is about to change. So I have your calling. So
Oh,
Sagittarius are having this beautiful fire trine in your work houses. So very auspicious for Cancer. Very
nice.
auspicious start to Saturn, Jupiter moving into your 1st house on a full moon in Sagittarius. I mean, that's really auspicious for
Yay for cancers.
yeah.
All right.
My fun and
So
travel card came out too. Fun travel. That's Leo, fun, travel.
Sag. Yeah. Oh, fun.
So
All right. Well, speaking of Leo, what's happening with those Leos?
wow, Leo, because you're another one of these fire people that are going to have all your firehouses lit up like a, bonfire in each of your firehouses where it's making a trine. Now for Leo, that's going to be in your Dharma houses, right? Because so for Leo, I'm pretty sure that's your Dharma houses. Yeah. So 9 is Aries and 5, those are Dharma houses. So you're going to be fired up to your purpose and you're going to be inspired, because that's really fun, because Mars is in your 5th house, which is Leo. I'm sorry, what am I saying? Sagittarius is in your 5th house. So, I mean, what a fun time for Leo. I mean, you've got Mars in your sign, which is really pumping you up, giving you a little bit extra vitality and energy and chutzpah. You've got the roar in you right now, Leo. You're fired up, you're inspired, you're going for it, right? Courageous. So, So this new moon, then you've got a new moon in Sagittarius where you suddenly discover who your true friends are, and you suddenly have this clarity of how to collaborate or take on an entrepreneurial venture, come into some sort of creative co-collaborative with your person. Or if you're single, you suddenly discover a good friend is actually really your true love, and you go into some sort of collaborative co-mission, co-soul contract adventure together, entrepreneurial, or you have a child, or you have the baby. If you're pregnant and it's around, this due date is around now. Somebody came to me once for a reading, and I said, you're going to have the baby on this day. You're going to have birth on that day. I gave her the exact day because I knew she had a full moon right on her moon in her fifth house. I'm like, you're going to have the baby on that day. She came back. She couldn't believe it. That's exactly the baby. She was like, I just couldn't believe it. That was exactly the day. So anyway, so Leos so you can use the pregnancy and a baby as a metaphor for something that you're creating out of nothing. That's the fifth house. You make something out of nothing. A big, fabulous creative venture project opens up for Leo. And then you've got Aries in your ninth. So you're restructuring your beliefs. I've just had Saturn in my ninth house. It's a very interesting thing to go through Saturn in your ninth house. You really do have a restructuring. You suddenly wake up to spirituality on a whole nother level. Like you get it. You get how important it is, how serious it is, how real it is, how much we need it, how it is the unseen force that's maneuvering everything down here. It is the science behind what's happening down here. Things like that, awakening. And taking more leadership role, taking leaderships, being like, come on, let's do this, yeah, energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go.
It's like you've got a baton with fire and you're running through the field. We're gonna do this. I'm feeling this fired energy. So yeah, so for Leo, it's fun times. Honestly, I can't think of a nicer. I mean, let's just not be so Pollyanna. Let me look at some challenging things here, just so I don't, Um, Mars, let's see, Mars is making a square to Chiron. So that's tricky. That could trigger you. Um, you know, I'm sorry, Mars is squaring Uranus. I'm sorry, Mars is making a square Uranus and trining Chiron. So there is healed energy in response to whatever. There could be for Leos, there could be a shocking sort of disruptive information that really upsets you, and you got to deal with it. But I'm going with the positive side of it all.
Yeah.
It's more
So
fun to talk about that. But you do change your destiny because you have the nodes in your ninth, you've got the nodes in your second house, so and it crosses your nodes. So there's a good chance this dharma, you get really on a dharmic path and you change the way you make your money. Or you restructure your money so you don't have to work. Like you decide to take out a loan and you're going to invest it, you're going to take on a project, you're going to go with it, a creative project, and live off that money for a while. And then that money, and that, because it's a Jupiter full moon, it will be blessed. It will create abundance, especially with Leo there, that fired up, inspired energy. And with Saturn there in Aries, it will make sure you're not doing the wrong thing or it will block it. So it's a good time to take a risk and see if Saturn blocks it. So I like it for Leo. Beautiful full moon for Leo. Very exciting. Mercury squaring the nodes, information that does change your destiny. You're going to have to change your mind and make everybody's on this full moon, everybody's changing direction. Don't forget, it's a mutable full moon, which means we change direction, we change our minds, we change our thinking process. We
thoughts. Yeah.
discover, we see a truth, we see a bigger picture. We go, that's what we're going to do. We take action. That fire trine is action oriented.
Well, it's interesting because we have the red penstemon that showed up for Leo. And this to me felt connected to that Mars energy. Maybe also you were talking about maybe the communication coming in that might be upsetting or, that pivots you in some way. The red penstemon has a lot to do with anger. So this is an opportunity to alchemize some of the anger that might be present. And here's the thing, the alchemization of that will fuel action that moves you towards your spiritual endeavors. So it is course correcting in a way, but it's going to come through maybe a bit of a challenged energy with anger, especially if you haven't allowed that energy to move through you. So the best approach is if something does come up, allow the waves of it to be there and to be discharged versus trying to hold it or contain it or suppress it or repress it. let it move through. And think about the red penstemon too, like these flowers, the way they come off the stem. Even imagine if you have any anger, like it's able to like funnel out or shoot out, like you're able to like release it. You could even like just take your hands and just kind of shoot it out and just let it go, instead of holding on to it or pretending it's not there as well. So that's what I got, the red penstemon for Leo.
Yes, that, thanks for reminding me. Fire energy when it's in that, I mean, usually a trine is not that, but if there's a square going to this full moon, you could have an angry outburst. I remember my
Hmm.
ex-husband was in a relationship with this other woman, and I know he's Sagittarius. I know his chart. So I saw this full moon Sagittarius right on his moon, and a square, to his descendant or something. And I said, I think you're going to get in an argument and split up with this chick here on this. I think it might have been, he calls me back like, how'd you know? They had a big blow up, like this huge. So full moon Sagittarius can cause big blow up rows, which then pivot your situation, right?
Yeah.
That would be a square to the nose if you ended a relationship. And that could happen for Gemini, by the way, with that full moon there. You discover your person's cheating on you on a full moon in your seventh house, especially with Chiron. Wait, no, Chiron's in Aries.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Still,
so
yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. All right, so Virgo.
Virgo, Virgo, Virgo. So we have Mercury is your ruling planet, and Mercury is conjoining. We haven't been talking about Mercury. It's so much to talk about, but Mercury is really close to this full moon. I'm sorry, it's close to Jupiter. It's at 6 degrees, and it's very, very close to Jupiter, very close to where the new moon that's coming up in Cancer will be at 4 degrees Cancer. So you're feeling it. And so this full moon, you've got this big fire trine in your eighth, in your fourth, and in your 12th, which is a moksha liberation, spiritual liberation house. This is the water energy of transformation. And again, a very powerful travel trine. But with the eighth house, with Saturn there, you're oftentimes with Saturn in the eighth house, your spouse is not making money, and you have to work very hard to make money. But it's also, you can be restructuring your investment portfolio. Let's put that. But for Virgo, your full moon is hitting in your fourth house. So there's some big revelation or truth around your property, your real estate, or knowing what you really want, knowing you're ready to move, having a sort of a big realization you really aren't happy where you're living, you want to move. What else? It could be that you decide you want to go on an adventure and leave home for a while, or just take a local adventure. Sometimes when I know people have planets in their fourth house, Sagittarius, they take a lot of local adventures. They're very outdoorsy, but they stay within their area. So you could very much go for, again, expanding your property, real estate, developing it, new family. Again, a child could show up here, an extra family member. We're expanding the home with that Jupiter ruling it. We've got the square to Saturn there. So whatever readjustments you're making in your finances, you may be like, for instance, let's do an example. You see that your finances are tighter, so you're going to move house and downgrade to a lower, or you discover a really better place to live that's cheaper, which you can then start saving money and address the debt. Let's look at something like that. But there is some sort of shifting in your destiny around this full moon, and property related. And then perhaps you decide to travel for a while with Venus there in your ninth house in Taurus, which is in a really good energy and auspicious, vibes very much. And then with that Mars in your 12th house again of travel. So you may suddenly travel because it's making a square to that. You suddenly leave home and move and decide to go travel for a while, or you refinance your property, sell it, that kind of thing. You could sell a property in these energies. Um,
What about buying a property?
you
Yeah.
yep, you could buy property. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. And with Saturn, with Jupiter in your 11th house in the sign of Cancer, you're really good luck. That's a really good year where you're making really good connections with people that do advance you financially, or that do bring you auspicious opportunities. Word of mouth connections that really work wonderful and help expand your dharma and your purpose of humanitarianism, whatever that is, because it's in your 11th house. So yeah, your destiny is tilting around this full moon. You have the south node in your first house, so you're letting go of an old version of you completely, an old fussy version of you, or controlling version of you, or critical, or something is releasing. You're releasing that. The full moon is squaring the south node in your first house, so this full moon reveals something about your family too, maybe, that makes you want to leave or let go of, or you realize some sort of pattern in your ancestry that you then see in yourself that you then let go of. But something changes about who you are in all of this, which then changes your destiny. But also with the north node in your seventh house, you're rediscovering your destiny and who it involves. What person is that going to be with? There.
Well, we have the nasturtium for Virgo. And
Oh,
what struck me so
oh,
much about this, and this was kind of perplexing me, I was like, what is the nasturtium telling us? Because it wasn't totally fitting in with what you were saying. However, what I think it's reminding Virgos of is that there's some change that's going to potentially happen. They're creating something. We have this like beautiful orange flower. They're creating something. They're creating maybe like a new home environment, something that might cause them at first a little bit of discomfort, but then it brings in this sense of joy. And that's really to me kind of what this Sagittarius moon is inviting us to lean more into. Even with the joy juice, it's really bringing us into a place of bringing in more joy. And the nasturtium also was like spice up your life. So maybe I kind of take this also as a maybe a leap of faith, or maybe making a choice or a decision around a home that feels challenging for whatever reason, but knowing like, okay, you have to do it. Maybe even being spontaneous, like following that feeling, following that impulse. We have that Mars, in on the action too. So, yeah, to me, this just
yeah,
feels
Mars in the
like,
12th house.
yeah, creativity, like creation power, not like necessarily creative and power is what they have to work with, which is pretty that's pretty amazing. So
Yeah, it looks
nasturtium.
like all their firehouses. That looks like a sort of a trine and a thing of the firehouses all lit up, all kind of like their life is like quickly. By the way, these are fast energies, like, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So now we're going to Libra.
Libra.
Libras are having a very interesting thing happening in their lives, because if you're single, you're probably going to get married because you're going to have Saturn in your in your seventh house on your descendant right now, or it depends where your ascendant is. But most Libras, if you're already in your true partnership, then something big is happening in the life of your partner, a big shift and a big change. They could retire. When you have Saturn in your seventh, they could retire. And then Saturn goes into your eighth and they don't have any money. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Saturn in your seventh, they're going through something. They could suddenly mature if you're young and you're married. Your partner goes through big, they're probably Aries, so they have Saturn in their first house, so they're probably taking on a big new responsible project or some sort of endeavor. And so with Saturn there in your seventh, I got my first marriage happened when I had Saturn on my seventh. So you get very, very serious. You don't want to fool around anymore. You're ready to really, and if you're in your marriage, you want to get serious with your partner and take on a big responsibility on a co-project as well, like perhaps buying a property and a mortgage, where you take on a big responsibility. So the fire energy for Libra is going to happen in your 11th, and the Sagittarius energy is happening in your third house. So full moons in I know a Libra rising who's had in a full moon, they have their moon in Sagittarius in their third house, and they've had two people pass away 2 years in consecutive. One was their sister and the other one was a friend on a full moon. Siblings
Mm.
are third house. and neighbors and good friends that are around you on a day-to-day. He was like a neighbor friend. So full moons can bring in the 8th or in the 3rd, somebody around you, close passes. But or you suddenly discover what neighborhood you do want to live in, where you do want to be, you move on this full moon and you choose a new location, a new neighborhood, relocate energies. But what else? Sagittarius, you have a big realization about who your true tribes are and your relationships are, because you've got Mars in Leo. So some sort of creative, fun project involving your tribe and involving your neighborhood or your siblings or people that are around you. And this coexists. So it's basically your relationship Saturn in your 7th puts you on some sort of path that involves you more in community creative projects. So it's like some sort of new thing you do with your spouse, or whatever the Saturn in your 7th is creating is also causing more interaction, more fun exposure in your community. Let's say you do get married. Suddenly you meet a whole new tribe of people, and now you're having a really good time, and you live in a completely new area and you're making a whole bunch of new friends. So this this Jupiter full moon, or this full moon in Sagittarius, reveals now this whole new tribe, new groups of people, and it's part of your dharma. If you're in a marriage, you're going to be dharmically, it's sitting in your 7th house. So there's a good collaborative venture going on. Sagittarius full moon is all about dharma for sure. So it's sort of on your path, whatever shift occurs, because Saturn squaring Jupiter in your 7th, there's going to be a delay though in this. So remember, Saturn is going to be there for 2.5 years. So if you do get married with Saturn in your 7th, it doesn't happen right away. I mean, this is a gradual readjustment for this to occur. So with Jupiter there in your 3rd house, writing projects with a collaborative partner, signing contracts, that's very 7th house, 3rd house, signing contracts. What else? Communication, writing, emails, busy, discovering you want to do a writing project with a spouse. I think that's all for now. Inspired, hopeful new beginnings, that you see the truth about what you really want to do in your dharma, and it's most likely writing or communication or media or social media influencing.
Well, we have the euphrasia
Wow.
for Libra, and this kind of reminds me of kind of putting yourself out there a little bit, and communicating with not just yourself, like more people.
Right.
Maybe not a huge group, but you're putting yourself out there a bit more. And so if you've been feeling indecisive about maybe a writing project, or working on something where you are sharing your wisdom with people.
Yeah.
Get out of self-doubt, because Euphrasia is here to say, go for it, trust yourself, act without hesitation, and be decisive. Like really follow your intuitive knowing and make the decision to get what you are creating out into the world. So Euphrasia is this, to me, it's a soft flower, yet it takes up space. There's some substance to it. It's like it kind of looks delicate, but it's actually a little bit more of a hefty flower than it seems. So Librans, just get out there. Put yourself out there.
That's interesting, because that looks like a triangle, right? The fire trine, but it's hitting all their air houses.
Oh,
Three is,
wow.
yeah, so 3 is an air house, 7 is an air house, and 11 is an air house. So they're getting the big fire trine over their 11. So that's like inspired projects you desire to do, that are inspiring and that are sort of dreams, um and it's related to your it is kind of a relationship trine as well. So it's like relationship houses as well. So it's like communication, writing, collaborative projects,
Good
all
stuff
of
for
that.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay, Scorpio.
Scorpio, that's you.
That is me.
All right, let's see. Let's take a look at Scorpio. So you're ruled by Mars, and Mars is fired up right now in the sign of Leo. in your 10th house. So perhaps a lot of inspired energy around career. Now, this full moon is going to connect with your 10th house, inspire you, and it's hitting in your you have Saturn in your sixth, so you're totally restructuring your day-to-day routines. Things are going to change there. And then you're going to have the Sagittarius in your, so it's in your earth houses. So you're got the, so this is hard work. This is you're realizing that there's a way you can make money, a new inspired way to make money, a new inspired opportunity coming into your career. It could involve travel, but it's your dharma. You're suddenly connecting your work and your dharma. You're making this connection here. You're going to have Jupiter in your ninth house, which again really is in exaltation and Cancer in your ninth house. You're getting a lot of big awakenings, a lot of big realizations and spiritual. Hang on, I'm just charging. A lot of big sort of powerful. That's going to be great. Jupiter in its own house in the ninth house, which is a lucky house, and in its exaltation. I mean, that's fabulous. Whatever any Scorpio are going through right now, that for the year is a really good omen. A good year for Scorpio for that. So you're expanding your beliefs, your knowledge. You're becoming very aware of what your dharma here is, what your gifts are, what you've got here to give the world, to serve, how to serve the world in a way that is truly you, that is the truth of you. We've been talking about the truth, right? So that's fantastic. And then you're inspired about your career. Inspires your career. And it's could very well likely connect to social media. You've got your south node there. It squares the south node in the 11th house. So you let go of your social media. You let go of something about your social media. You let go of trying to control it. You let go of some aspect of it. And you head more into some sort of creative, spiritual, soul fulfilling project in your 5th house. So this full moon changes your work and changes your dharma. You shift path. You shift from some sort of a change something about your social media thing, and you shift path to something more inspired and creative that just sort of fires up all of a sudden, and it kind of fires up your workhouses. So it turns into a career or a job, and it's also your dharma. So it's like it's fate coming in and putting you on the right path, on your dharmic path, which involves work. So it's going to bring you money. Basically, it's an earth house. So these are the houses that bring you financial gain.
Earlier,
That's sort of a spiritual awakening. Yeah.
earlier when you said, okay, this is going to be hard work, my laptop went ding. I thought, okay. So yeah, so any Scorpios out there, just
Yeah.
know this is not just like coasting. This requires effort
Yes.
and
Yes.
discipline as
Yes,
well.
but remember, we're inspired because this is all hope. And what was it that we said again? This is hope, inspiration, purpose, truth, wisdom, love. I mean, this fire energy is inspired, although Saturn is going to make you work harder and go slow and do stuff you don't want to do, but got to be done.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
like it for Scorpio.
look at this flower for Scorpio. It's pretty amazing. It's
Wow.
to me, it's called the fire star orchid. So it's very much connected to that fiery energy that we're experiencing right now with Sagittarius and Mars and Leo. Um, this is fearless creativity, fearless expression, thinking
Mhm.
outside the box, sharing innovative ideas, seeing beyond what you've seen before. And so, with Scorpios, we tend to want to go deep. Or we prefer to like leave what's in the shadows in the shadows. But often when we open that door, we're like, all right, let's just go. Let's just see it. We'll look at it. We'll deal with it. We got it. So right now it's like, okay, I've seen this far. Now I'm going to see this far. So you're really opening up what you've been able to hold, what you've been able to see. To me, it also feels like almost like a capacity, like this sense of every moon cycle builds on itself, builds on each other. But this feels particularly potent for Scorpio in some of the things that they've been recalibrating for quite some time. And then that opening up that their sense of value, but also their work, kind of both, like what's coming back in, allowing them to receive. So the fire star orchid for Scorpio.
I find that angle, if I share the chart really quick,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody sort of looks at it the way I do, but see how So if you look at those flowers, the way they're angled, and then you look at the 6th house to the 10th, it's making the exact same angle. And then it hits
Oh,
that, kind of hits the 9th house. It's just kind of the same angle, right? So that to me shows that this is going to light up your 10th house, which is your
wow.
career. And it's going to create a really nice, beautiful trine to your 10th. So this is really blessing career and work in a nice way for Scorpio.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you shared that,
Yeah,
Madeline. That's
because
really
don't
neat.
forget Mars rules Scorpio. So if you really focus more on what Mars is doing in this transit, that's going to tell you it's your 10th house.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. That is true. Okay, Sagittarius.
You goal setters, you wanderers, you seekers. Okay, so that's in your first house, right? So that's going to be Dharma, big time Dharma. So you're going to have all the fire. You're going to have where do Sagittarius have fire? Sagittarius have Leo over their 9th and 5th. Wow, fabulous travel, inspiration, seeing a big truth about your life and who you are, and realizing who you truly are, and believing in yourself. Sagittarius really ought to believe in themselves. It's a hard journey for them, but that's the big journey. And discovery of something about your soul that liberates you, that makes you want to be bold and take new beginnings and take new action. You're going to have Jupiter's your ruling planet, and it's going to be an exaltation. So it's like some sort of, and that's going to be in your 8th house. So some sort of financial abundance comes in, beautiful for Saggies. But with this trine to your fire houses, we're looking at again, these are the Dharma houses. So this is a big Dharmic full moon for Saggies, which means they really step in boldly with Leo there in their 9th house. They take bold strides to step into their calling and go forward with sort of courageous boldness. And they've got Saturn in their 5th. So you're having to work hard around a creative project. Perhaps a creative project comes in, you have to work really, really hard. If I use a Sagittarius musician, let's say you get a gig, you get a nice paying job to perform, you got to work your butt off, with that Saturn in your 5th. Or you work very hard. You're a woman, you have a baby, and you're working very hard raising a baby and working or something like that. But you're getting a beautiful creator. This is like the trine of creation in a way. Like, the 9th house is the dharmic house, and the 5th house is the baby of the dharma, of the inspiration, the clarity of the 9th house, and then the 5th house makes it come true. You take action, and it could be co-collaboratives with friends, other people, entrepreneurial venture, stepping into some sort of fun. It's also very fun, well, Saturn in your 5th, in your 5th probably takes the fun away to some degree, but with Leo in your 9th, beautiful potential travel, a job, an opportunity to travel, a job offer coming in for travel, or to teach. Leo is very much a teacher. So Leo over your 9th, a lot of Sagittarius are probably teachers with Leo over their 9th. So you suddenly are promoted to a higher teaching job. That is much more your dharma. Travel, of course, as I mentioned. And perhaps a relationship comes in because of that 5th house Saturn. That turns very serious. A friendship turns very serious. Travel journeys, new learnings about philosophy, spirituality, big opening, fun learning about astrology with Leo there, maybe.
All right. Well, this card took a while to come out. I don't know if you saw me shuffling there for a while. I was thinking, holy cow, Madeline's going to be done and I'm still going to be shuffling because this card just wants to take its time. But finally, we got the trumpet vine for
Oh,
Sagittarius. And so if you think about I remember there's like a megaphone or something like you can speak through it and it really enhances and really throws your voice out farther. This is kind of what is happening for Sagittarius. This relates to dissolving those blockages of like self-limiting beliefs that they may have around their abilities and who they are, and that enhances their comfort of being seen. So you'll feel much more comfortable in people actually seeing who you are. This is the first house. You're changing who you are, feeling more comfortable in who you are, being able to speak more freely about what's inside of you, what you stand for, gives you the courage to have maybe some challenging conversations. So there is a really supportive energy for Sagittarians during this upcoming moon cycle with the trumpet vine when it comes to communication, connection, not just with themselves, not just with others, but with themselves too. Yes.
Yep. That reminds me, these are the Kendra houses, which is the cardinal houses, and that's the four cardinal points. And
Uh,
the first cardinal, right? And then the 10th house. So it's going to change their whole life. So when you see, because when you have a cardinal full moon, it shifts all your four positions, and you
yeah.
feel when you have cardinal full moons, you feel them, which means it hits your ascendant, it changes your relationship, it changes your job, it changes where you live, and it changes your identity.
Yeah. It's big. I mean, it's definitely a
That
life
is,
altering
yeah. Well,
situation.
it's squaring the nose, which is going to amplify the destiny tilting aspect of this full moon.
Hmm. All right. Capricorn.
That's another good title. Destiny tilting full moon. Destiny, sorry, tilting full moon. You should see me trying to title my video. I sit here forever. I'm like, all right.
I know I know they're tough. I have the same problem with my emails. It's like, what is the subject line going to be?
Yeah. Capricorn, right? So your ruling planet is in Aries. I wonder what Capricorns are going through. You know one. So they must be feeling pretty charged up and like, I don't know. I mean,
I would say I would say the Capricorns in my world are not feeling charged. They're feeling exhausted. Actually, the opposite. They're feeling kind of worn out,
frustrated.
a little frustrated. Um, like, you know, I think, well, I mean, I have a number of Capricorns in my life, and so they're all kind of going through different things, but they're going through different things yet similar, but for different reasons. So there's like this energy of it's like almost like they want something different, yet it's
Mm-hmm.
not, and they're taking some action, but it's not really happening for them the way they want or in the time that they
Yeah.
want.
Okay, that's
They're
interesting.
tired, they're tired, and there's
I wonder if they feel
like I'll
heavy.
speak.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'll speak for Misha. Like Misha's been very, very busy work-wise, but he's also tired and I feel like drained. And there's been like these little fires he has to put out around him that it just kind of makes you go, okay, what am I doing this for? Like is this really it? So it kind of makes you reassess.
Right.
So I mean, and that's 12th house too, which is what this is, right?
For what? Capricorn? Yeah, right, right. Full
Yeah.
moon in the 12th house. Yes, for Capricorn.
Yeah.
So for you guys, that could be travel, right? On a challenging level, a full moon in the 12th house in Sagittarius can really reveal a faulty belief, something that was an illusional, delusional belief. You have a bit of a, what do you call it? An existential spiritual crisis. Something you thought was true isn't true. And it's a really big shakeup. It's like, gosh, like discovering the earth is flat. You're all your life, you thought the earth was round. And now you're like, oh my God, no, the earth is really flat. That kind of a big shake. So you suddenly have some sort of big opening, seeing a big truth about who you are, something about yourself you don't like, something about you that sabotages your success. Somehow you don't believe, you've come into this earth with Saturn, with Sagittarius over your 12th. You don't believe in yourself. So you're coming into this earth to sort of step into the warrior and centaur, to become more of a centaur. And so I'm seeing here, you're going to have, the nice thing though, is you're going to have Jupiter in your 7th house of relationships. So there's some sort of expansive co-creative projects with partnership agreements. A lot of new friends. If you're single, you could, and you're a girl, that could be your husband. I've done readings for people with Jupiter on their descendant and they get hooked up. And so, we've got this Sagittarius full moon in your in your 12th. So you're aware of some sort of karmic cycle and patterning that you're going to end, especially with the South Node in Virgo, which is in your 9th house. So you're letting go of some big old belief, you're changing your mind. You're seeing something big. You're really seeing a new big truth. And it's going to cause you liberation because those are the liberation houses. Well, the 12th house is a liberation house, right? It's a spiritual liberation. You're having a big spiritual awakening, a big spiritual upgrade. And it really transforms you into more shifting into more belief, more faith in the universe, more faith in yourself. You have this sort of transformative experience where you then decide to take bold new actions, new beginnings in an area which you now believe you can take risks. You've got Mars in your 8th. You believe in taking risks now. You believe in going for it. You have Aries over your 4th. So you're restructuring your living home. You're moving. I know Capricorn rising who's restructuring their living situation, new family. I had Saturn in my 4th actually Saturn in my 4th was a bit of a tough time. I was going through a separation and I was having to pay for the mortgage myself and I hadn't worked. So I wasn't assuring how I was going to pay the mortgage and I was struggling to pay the mortgage. So I was like grasping for money to pay the mortgage. So that was a challenging
Yeah.
thing. I did it, but but anyway, maybe you take a risk and you decide to take on a mortgage and you buy a property and it is a bit of a stretch, but you do it. It works because you're going to have Jupiter in Cancer, and everybody's going to do better with Jupiter in Cancer. We're supposed to have faith with Jupiter in Cancer. It's okay to take risks. Spend some money with Jupiter in Cancer. Yeah, buying a property could happen. My ex-husband, I think, is moving. He's Capricorn rising. Jupiter opposite your descendant, on your descendant. You could also really step into a very dharmic co-collaborative with your spouse, your partner, or just or join in a partnership agreement with someone, a business partner. And then you're going to have Leo over that 8th with Mars there. So you are taking a bit of action, inspired action to either clear debt. I know my ex-husband is paying off a tax debt regularly, taking care of that. So Mars in the 8th. So I think that about says it for now.
Well, so Capricorns, here you go. We've got the gardenia. I love this flower. And I love this particular card. Just something about looking at this flower is soothing to me. Maybe it's just me, but this reminds you to shift your perception, to transform your weaknesses into strengths. So what you've been seeing lately, where things haven't been kind of going the way you wanted, or you're feeling kind of worn down, it's time to maybe reassess, shift your perception of what's going on, seeing the shadow part of you in more of a positive light, a brighter light. And then this is, I think, the key. Embrace all aspects of yourself as beautiful. All of you, all of you. And that to me is very 12th house. It's like take all of the lessons, all of the parts of yourself, all the things that you've seen, all the good stuff, the not so good stuff, the shiny, the not so shiny, and love all of it. And that's the invitation with gardenia and this full moon.
Did I talk about the karma clearing aspect of this full moon for Capricorn? Because that looks like a karma purified card, like
It
karma clear.
really does. It
Yeah.
really, really does. Yeah.
So that would be a really great sign for Capricorn. I think Capricorn are going to have I love this full moon for everybody, but I like it a lot for Capricorn with that. I think they really do come out and shine. And they're ruled by Saturn, right? And Saturn and squares on the whole, Saturn is turning you through pressure into a diamond. So that card was sort of like, as a result of Capricorn, your ruling planet, is going to put you through some sort of stressor that turns you into a diamond. But I'm going to say that I think you've already been through a lot. Capricorn have already been through a lot with Pluto there. So I think this shows the diamond that you've become. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. Nice. Well,
I like the side of positivity.
we had Marita on there. She was saying she's a Capricorn rising and a Taurus sun. And I asked her if, this was for her. If she had any questions about it. She hasn't chimed back in, but thanks for being here, Marita. Okay. Aquarius?
We love it. Aquarius.
Ready?
Aquarius. So let me just get you guys on the ascendant here. Aquarius on the ascendant puts this full moon, this fire trine in your seventh and your 11th. Ooh, nice, nice, nice. 11th house full moon in Sagittarius. Now, where is the oh, okay, Jupiter in your sixth. I like that. Jupiter in the sixth can be challenging, you know. It can expand because Jupiter expands everywhere that it goes. And sometimes it can expand, like for instance, if you have a health issue, it can expand the health issue and make it bigger, especially if it's in your sixth house. You can overdo things with the Jupiter transit and you pull your back out. You get too overzealous. Think of a big giant bazooka of energy coming in. And with a Sagittarius full moon, you don't want to try too hard. You don't want to push anything. You just it's already got a lot of energy. It's already doing that. So for you Aquarians, this is hitting in your 11th house. Some big dream, some big long-term goal comes true, something you've been working on, some sort of, I mean, you know, a dream opportunity comes in that you've been working towards, or you meet a new tribe person, you discover your true tribe, and you have come into some sort of collaborative venture. Your social media platform takes off, or you suddenly realize you want to do this. You've got a good thing to start posting, or you got some sort of truth you want to post on social media. You want to get out there and tell the world some sort of truth. Like the world is flat. Just kidding. My teacher thinks is a big flat earther. I've been studying flat earth. I find it very fascinating. So anyway, so yeah, some sort of big new venture that puts you out into the public, that puts you out more seen, some sort of dharmic path that puts you more into the 11th house is Aquarius. And the Aquarius is about humanitarianism. So it's like the mixture of your dharma and your humanitarian mission that you were born for, where you're probably a 144 light worker. You're probably one of the light workers here to bring us into the light. So you're probably going to go out there on your 11th house purpose and bring us all into the light, and shed higher consciousness messages. Aquarians are quite higher consciousness. A lot of them, I naturally think they are. They're very open-minded people. They don't necessarily believe everything like you know, but they do open up to it. Now, I think on this full moon Sagittarius, they believe in something big. They discover they do believe in something, and they do believe in it enough to get devoted and to get behind it and to put their mission in it, put their purpose behind it or their devotion behind it. And then with that, and again, this is a destiny tilting full moon with the south node there in Virgo in your 8th house. So you might be selling a property. Where's the north node? There's some sort of financial shift that's occurring because it's squaring your financial houses. So maybe you have a windfall and you pay off a debt, you pay off a property. Somebody offers to spend you buy a property for a lot of money. Or you get some sort of funding. I had a financial breakthrough with an 11th and 8th house transit. I ended a mortgage debt. I sold something and it paid off. And so some sort of lucky strike. This is very much a lucky strike full moon for Aquarians, where they are somehow set forward and some sort of dream comes true, and financially shifting to a very some sort of dream comes true that stabilizes their finances, shifts their destiny through stabilizing their finances. I hope that's clear.
Oh.
I feel like I'm giving a word salad.
Well, but here's the thing. What I find is that there is going to be something that you say that's going to connect with someone else. They're going to hear something and it's going to be
Yeah.
like, yes, yes, okay, that's for me. Okay, so we have red clover for Aquarius. And to me, this looks like this is 11th house, you know,
That's so social. Yes.
very social,
Very 11.
very.
And
And
that's
then
purple, which is Jupiter.
the other piece of
Spreading a
this
message. Yeah, go ahead.
is that, you know, everything that you were saying to me, it's talking about the invincibility of them. So right now, that's kind of where they are. They're like,
Mm.
they're invincible, they have empathy, they're able to like really feel what other people are going through, but not take it on as their own, show up in a different way within their friend groups, and have compassion, like a really strong, fierce compassion. They're no longer vulnerable to any negativity or like things that might be coming at them. So I really do like red clover for Aquarius, and just, you know, just remember tuning into your empathetic side, also knowing that you have what it takes to move through whatever it is, to talk to the groups, to connect with groups, to share your message. It's all there for you.
Yes, and guess what? It really connects trying down to the third house where Saturn is. So when I had Saturn in my third house, I had a website. I started a website. So it's very connected to the 11th house because the 11th
Hmm.
house, media, getting out there in the world. The third house is like doing it, writing the emails, the writing of it, the content creating.
Yeah.
Um, and writing is big time Aquarius ability because they're air. So a lot of the air signs are writers. Um, and so with that third house, they could be starting a business with Aries there, Saturn, or they're,
There's a lot to it. And hopefully what we're sharing that people are listening to is like they're getting that little nugget that
yeah.
they need in order to carry that forward in the next couple of weeks. Um, yeah. Cool stuff. All right, we're rounding it out with Pisces
Last but never the least,
for
Pisces
the least.
ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune's conjoining Saturn. So I wonder what Pisces are feeling with Neptune. You know somebody with Pisces too. So I wonder what Neptune conjoining Saturn is like. Gosh, with a Pisces. So that's going to be in your second house for Pisces, right? So some sort of big, serious maturity around making money, serious. But again, it's in dharmic, it's dharma, and it's on path. But let's go ahead and look at Sagittarius here for you guys. Pisces, you're ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is going to be in your fifth. Wow, fantastic. Jupiter transiting your fifth, and it's like a Lakshmi house, luxury, like it activates your luxury, activates good success. Creative projects are successful. You can have a baby, a child. Of course, let's go with the metaphor of that, creating something out of nothing that grows into a very long-term auspicious project or whatever you create becomes is going to be creating abundance for a long time. We're initiating a 29-year cycle here of abundance. So we're developing wherever our Aries house is, we're developing a structure and a foundation for that 29-year growth. So second house is Aries for you guys. Like I said, we're restructuring our finances. Then we've got this full moon in a Saggy. Where's the Saggy house for Pisces? Saggy is the 10th house, right?
And
Yeah. And then
yeah.
we Leo over the 6th. So we're activating work houses. Oh, wow. So this full moon is putting you onto a very blessed income path where you're really making money. This is a big revelation about what your career is, what your true career is. What is the true path for you as far as your career? And this is Dharma. And most your fire Jupiter ruled people are dharmic people. They have to be on their dharmic path or they're miserable. They tend to be driven naturally towards their dharmic path. You can't stop them. They really are. My son is like that. My Sagittarius son, he will starve rather than go get a job. He's on his dharmic path. He will die on his dharmic path. That's Sagittarius.
Mm.
That's your ruled by Dharma, right? So Pisces see some sort of financial resolve, financial upgrade, financial happenings, because these are the fires over the earth signs. So the earth are going to produce, this fire is going to produce these inspiring new beginnings, courageous, bold actions, taking you forward onto a new career path that lasts you a good long time. Again, this is inspiring you. It feels right. It's in alignment. And again, it's course correcting. It's changing something. You have to let go of Virgo area. Where's that Virgo in the south? So you may be letting go of some kind of something around your relationship or controlling your relationship. It doesn't mean you let go of your relationship, but it means you let go of trying to control your relationship or trying to make your relationship fit your life, and just let go and let it fit your life, kind of an energy. And then you've got the North Node Pisces in your first house, so you're really stepping into your dharmic path in a big, strong, bold way. And Leo being in your sixth house, which is your work house. My son is a musician. He has Mars and Leo in his sixth house. He's rising sign Pisces, and he's got a freaking major stellium in his 10th house of Sagittarius. He's got 4 stelliums. He's got 4 Sagittarius planets, and he's got Mercury, Sun, Moon, MC, I mean, a ton of stuff up there. So you're really looking, Pisces, at a big career boost, a big fire up, a big, like your career houses, like let's just see if you look at your chart and it's your life and you pretend it's your chart, you're going to see those work houses go, whoo, light up.
And how old is he?
He is 29, turning 30, I think, this year.
Okay, so this
And
is huge for him.
yes, yes,
Huge.
yes. Very good for Pisces. And my moon, I have a Pisces moon, so this will be good for me as well. But we're really looking at a reality, because whenever you get these are the I forget they're called. The earth houses. Is it the Kema house? Artha? It's the Artha houses. So they make something real into the tangible because it's earth. So you're taking some big idea, some big passion, some big fiery thing, and now it becomes literally translates into material wealth.
All right. Well, I'm so envisioning that for him. Let's go.
Yeah. And again, these are developing, it could be big, it's hard to know with Jupiter. It could be a big thing happens and you get this big windfall and a great, wonderful opportunity comes in that it's his dream job that he's always been wanting to do, or it's just it's just a nice connection that leads you there down the road as Jupiter continues to, which is your ruling planet, continues to move forward because it's in a square to Saturn. So it may not really bring you the abundance yet, but go from mid-June and into July, you're seeing it happening.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, maybe it's not the second, but it's
Yeah.
you're forging the way.
Yeah.
So we have the Royal Poinciana
Wow.
for Pisces, and I literally wrote down the keynote "Be bold" when you were talking about being bold. So that is definitely a key point for them. This has to do with asking for what you want and just go for it. Literally, just go for it. And we've got that fiery energy in this card. You may not be able to see this very well, but we've got yellow here as well.
I believe card, right? I believe. Yeah.
I
Sorry.
believe.
Yeah.
This brings clarity, decisiveness, and then think big. Pisces, think big. Take on any challenge that comes up with conviction. Like this is it. You got this. Just ask for what you want, go for what you want. It's going to work out somehow. You just may not see it or know quite yet, but this is big. It's a big one.
Another one of the cardinal points. You're seeing 4 cardinal spots, and then watch this.
True.
Yeah, and look, there's the white one. That would be the 4th house. So let me look at the 4th house. So that would be, where's the fire at the bottom? Oh, the 6th. Oh no, that would be the 4th house. So we're looking at potentially moving, and yeah, so it's hitting all your so yeah, you're going to get a shift all the way around. This is going to be a full moon that totally shifts your destiny. Career, relationships change the shape, and then living situation changes, and who you are as an identity changes.
So what's so interesting is that I have someone close to me who is looking to purchase a house and a property. She's a Pisces sun. I feel like she's also a Virgo. Uh, she's
Often.
Virgo
Yeah.
too, but I really want I can't recall this minute. At any rate, she she's making a decision. She's made it by now. She had to make it by 5 o'clock today, Eastern,
Oh, wow.
whether she was going to go for this property. It's a huge risk financially. All these other pieces have to fall into place for it, but it would be really big for her husband, for their daughter, and for their future. So when I see the 10th house here, I feel like there's some energy that's supportive of this deal actually coming into fruition. And
Yeah.
the fact is that she really did have to be bold and ask for what she wanted and really literally just go for it while being terrified at the same time. So
Yeah.
I think
Interesting.
Pisces are really being called to step into their
Yeah.
their dharma.
And that Leo is in their 6th house. So that's like busy, stressful,
Yeah. Yeah, she's
Kind
definitely been feeling that. So,
yeah.
I guess, yeah,
So
as we
yeah,
wrap up
that's
here,
it.
it's a fiery moon cycle,
Yeah.
and people will come out on the other side of this with some really, I feel like some insights on themselves, on how they're engaging with their life and the world around them, which is every moon cycle. But this one to me also feels like it's taking some of that thought energy from Gemini, bringing it into a form of action that's leading you to your purpose in a way that you haven't before. Some may feel uncomfortable with it, some may feel confident and ready to go. But either way, you're being tilted to where you are destined to go.
Yes, because this full moon is a macro full moon, which means it shows you the bigger truth, and you can't make big decisions unless you know the truth. So when you see the big picture, you're able to see the whole story, which then enables you to make a decision, an informed
Mhm.
decision that impacts your whole
Yeah.
life. You're looking at the whole story here. So, and that's what this full moon does. It reveals a truth of your dharma, who you are, which then enables you to make a new choice that tilts your destiny based on the truth of who you now have discovered yourself to be. There you go.
Oh, there we go. All right, everyone. So we thank you for joining us. Let me go back and make sure there's no questions or
Questions?
comments over there. Okay, Marita said thank you. It does resonate. I feel a bit stuck, but hopefully things are going to get better. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll
That's
notice things are going to shift and change as time goes on.
yeah, that's a good thing to hear because I think this full moon does
What are we
literally
saying, Madeline?
well, I think this full moon is an unstucking full moon. Like it unsticks us. We're breaking through. We're breaking out of a rut. Very much so. So that she will feel less stuck after this full moon. I will be pretty sure, unless it doesn't hit her chart. You know. Are you there?
Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think my internet is
Bit
doing weird
blocked.
things, but yeah.
All
Um,
right.
all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate you. Catch us on the replay. I will be, Madeline will be checking comments. If there's any other questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comment section below or let us know if you need support or any guidance going forward. We'll be back in a couple of weeks talking about the Cancer new moon, which will be
Yep.
very interesting with Jupiter in on the mix there.
Yep.
And be sure to like, subscribe, follow all the things, and we will be wishing you a beautiful Sagittarius full moon.
Yes, I have on my YouTube channel, check out, I've got all the 12 signs going up for June. So I'm having fun with those. So do check them out and have a wonderful month of June. I think it's a magical month. I love doing astrology because I get to remind everybody that the universe is magical.
Yay.
We're having a
I know
magical month of
you're
June.
so good at it. All right, everyone. Ciao for now.